Good morning, Iredell County and Statesville and the surrounding areas. Hey, glad to be back. I've gotten lazy here lately. Been gone a couple different times in this month, but I had to take a vacation. My wife says I have to spend time with her. That's the way the laws were written. That's why she married me. I didn't think she really wanted to, but she does, and I'm glad of it. I got a really good wife, and I appreciate her. Hello out there, dear, if you're listening. Anyway, let's catch back up on a few things. I think Scotty Brown and Heather Gessler come in last week and covered for me, and I appreciate their efforts for helping me. That was so good. Let's look at COVID numbers right now. State cases, we're looking at about 217,500. Iredell County, there's about 3,200. Hospital, 921 for the state, 10 for Iredell. Deaths were a little over 3,600 on deaths, 41 in Iredell County. Sobering numbers as far as the deaths. So this morning got a lot to talk about. I swear, you get gone for a week and everything just goes to heck in a handbasket, it seems like. While I was gone, it seems our Attorney General, our state was sued by voters from the retirees of the AFL-CIO union. And it just so happened that their representing lawyer was actually Roy Cooper's lawyer here about a year and a half ago in some of his litigation cases. And our Attorney General, Josh Stein, decided that he would settle for the state of North Carolina without going to trial, which is very rare. I cannot remember the last time that happened, if it ever has happened. It's been a long time. Very convenient that he was willing to settle with his boss. He says the state of North Carolina, the people's his boss, but looks more and more like every day Roy Cooper's more his boss. Settle with the lawyer, and basically in their settlement, it would allow somebody that if they wanted to vote, that they didn't have to have the witness provision in there. They didn't have to necessarily, somebody could have signed it or they could have not signed it, sent it in, and they would let you sign an affidavit saying, yeah, that was you. They would mail that to you, you'd mail it back without a witness or whatever. To me, that's pretty scary right there. Also, in that same settlement deal, they said they would take votes up to the, I think it's the 12th of November. So that's 9 days past Election Day. Votes would be able to come in. So those are just two of the things, quite many things, kind of ironic. One thing that I want to get to before I really dig into that, my guest I got calling in around 11:30 today is Jim O'Neill, who's actually running for Attorney General in the state of North Carolina. His opponent is Josh Stein, the Attorney General that I just mentioned, that seemed to do something a little bit underhanded, if you say. But real quick, want to touch on Phase 3 of Roy Cooper. He actually put this out last Wednesday, so we have Phase 3 now. So we've opened up a few things. Basically what he's done is he's allowed bars to open and movie theaters. With the bars, he's allowed them to open up 30%, but only outdoor seating. 30%. I don't know about y'all, but it got down, I think, to 46 or 7 degrees last night, so it's getting colder at night, and only be outside. I don't know too many bars that always even have outside seating, so I don't know if he's really opened it up for them or not. But what he's done, movie theaters and conference centers at 30% capacity or 100 people, whichever's less. Bars, outdoor only, 30% capacity or 100 people, whichever's less. So even if a bar tried to open up really big, they're not going to be able to open up very big at all, even if they let the whole outdoors go. Small or outdoor venues, 30% capacity, 100 people, whichever's less. Large outdoor stadiums and venues, 10,000 capacity and above, 7%. You know, a reporter the other day actually asked him on this figure for the stadiums, like at Carolina Panthers, Tar Heels, Wolfpack, Duke, all the ones around, and said, where did you come up with the 7%? And Roy Cooper's statement back to her was, it just felt right. So good to see that we're using our science here on this. It just felt right. A lot of other things, outdoor amusement parks, 30%. Still going to have to require the face coverings, which that's good. I think that's wise. Still curfews as far as No alcohol served after 11 o'clock. So the bars can only do 30% outside and only serve to 11. So I guess they're saying you'll have to start drinking early, folks, I reckon, if that's what you're wanting, if that's what you're into. Just a couple of different things. You know, I don't understand how you can have a 60,000 seat stadium and, you know, put 5,000 people in that, and that's the safety number. So this is all kind of making me scratch my head. And we're taking calls up till, you know, about probably 11:25 or so. So if anybody would like to call in and tell us what y'all think about Phase 3 or some of the crafty things going on with our Attorney General we have now, 704-873-1400. Please give us a holler. I'd love to hear from you. Gonna flip back real quick after going through this with Roy Cooper and what all's going on. Do we got somebody already calling in? All right. Hey, good morning, Representative Jeff McNeely. Who we got?
You've been on vacation. This is Deborah.
Hey, Deborah. Yeah, I'm gonna quit loafing now. I got a whole month. I got to get ready to try to get into this political thing and get voted in. So I got to stay around here and do some work. It looks like party time's over.
Be voted in, Jeff. Don't worry about it.
All right. How are you doing?
They're writing our president's obituary because he checked into Walter Reed. I tell you, I just wanted to say this to the voters. Everybody needs to get to the election polls. This is the election we can't let slide. Not this time. They're writing this president off, and, you know, it's like our uncle that's looking after us.
Mm-hmm. Uncle Sam, like Uncle Sam.
Exactly, but he's really got our best interest, this president, and God bless and be with you all that have helped this country. We need you, each and every one. I missed you last week.
Well, I miss y'all. I really do. When I'm not here, I miss y'all. I can't wait to get back. I told my wife I'm looking forward to getting back today and getting on the air and talking to my peoples.
Oh, I'll tell you, when they go to writing off us as a number, and that's what we are, is a number and a vote to them, if you realize, they do nothing but go after this president. Look at the facts. They went after this man from day one. Coming down that escalator, you've heard it time and time again on the TV. This is all they've really done. What about we, the people? You surely see who's got our best interest. So I'd like to say to each and every individual that has listened to your show, God bless you all that has helped us as we, the voters. We're going to vote y'all right back in. No fear. Let's just do it. Let's reelect Jeff McNeely, Dan Forrest, everybody get to the polls. And this Cunningham man, I heard the news on him this weekend, and I know nothing about him. Now I'm just going to question you about that man because, like I said, you give me insight on who to vote for. I'd even like to know who your opposition is. But that Jeff Cunningham, to go outside with that relationship, hit the news, you know, you hear all kinds of bad stories. Then you look at the moderator of the debate. You know, I've always had respect for all. But sometimes you got to look at the facts and understand some don't have your best interest. We know who's got our best interest.
Well, you know, I'll look at it from two sides with Cal Cunningham. You know, those who without sin throw the first stone. So a lot of us, we have issues and this, that, and the other. But when you put yourself out there in the political arena, you need to be a little bit better than everybody else. Not saying that we are, but you need to be, and you should be, because you're putting yourself out there to be in a leadership position. So if you can't be trusted with what I consider to be the biggest decision of your life, choosing your mate, your wife, for life, because that's how it is. It's not for the first little while. It's forever.
Right.
And the issues that's come up and what he's done, I felt like he should step down. Amen. I personally feel like he should step down. But, you know, a lot of people don't feel that way. I guess, you know, I don't understand. If you read your Bible, then it's pretty simple, the rights and the wrongs. There's not a lot of gray in the Bible. It's black and white and red where Jesus said it.
Hallelujah. One other thing is they have thrown this money around. You look at We the People and everything at the stores, it's gone up.
Mm-hmm.
They throwed all this money towards cutting him. What is it, $50 million I heard?
Oh, for the COVID CARES Act money?
For his election.
Oh, him? Oh, I say they're probably closer to $80 million.
Oh, okay. See what I'm saying? They're blowing our money. And folks, we don't need these people. These people are self-worth people. We got to vote them out. That's all. I just called in wanting to express my feelings about how important this election is.
It is.
Let's keep what we got that's going good for us, and let the rest of this bozo circus ring go. They don't have us. And when they can't help us to make it through all this downside, and like I said, writing this president's obituary, basically want rid of him so bad. Well, if it had been their family member, they just wouldn't have done it.
Well, I did see where a lot of people on Facebook and Twitter and all would come out, and they were glad that the president got COVID and this, that, and the other, and wished a whole lot of different ill things. And I tell you what, I don't know anybody that I know that I would wish any kind of disease, virus, or anything on anybody. I think you have to look deep in your soul and find out where the hatred is and what's wrong and fix it. That's sad.
That's a violent.
I don't want Joe Biden as my president, but I don't want nothing to happen to Joe Biden. He's done me no wrong.
He's a basement man. He's a basement boy. I don't know what to call that man because he's here, he's there. He shut down at 9:30, as I heard it said so many times. We need a real president. We need an engine in that president. This Donald Trump, God give that man an engine to run for us, we the people. He did not need that job.
Oh, no.
He didn't need it. And you have been a blessing to us.
Well, I appreciate
and
it.
for us to all the same. People get to the election polls and just vote. Let's get through this election, and for the good of the country, I pray for America and we the people. Jeff, thank you for taking my call. I appreciate
You're very welcome. Good to hear from you. Good to hear
God
from
bless.
you, honey.
Say your prayers.
I will. Always do.
Thank
you, ma'am.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. We got somebody else. Hey, this is Representative Jeff McNeely. Who we got?
Hey, Jeff, Dale Bess.
Dale Bess, how are you, sir?
I'm well. I hope you are.
I'm doing good, doing good. What you got on your mind this morning?
Well, it's probably been mentioned before, and I know the DOT is out of money, but these right-of-ways and these roads are horrible.
I know.
As far as needing mowed. And as a lot of them up at intersections are dangerous. You can't see if you pull out in the road.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, that trim treeing has not happened, and I don't know when. A lot of different things have been let go. I will tell you one thing. There's a good side and a bad side to it. Finally, DOT has got their books in order so that the bond that we told them they could issue, they can finally issue it. You know, when we actually told them they could issue that bond? Last October, we said we'd let you do the $300 million North Carolina Connect bond. It's took them a year to get their bookkeeping right so that somebody would let them write the bond, to get their books balanced and show how bad they are. And so they're going to start selling those bonds the end of the month, sometime the last week of the month, they said. And of course, everything's going to take a while. You know, government, even when it's good, it's ungodly slow. But at least that, I told somebody, well, at least they can get the dadgum things written now. It was embarrassing that we told them you could pass it, and their books are in such bad shape that they couldn't even get anybody to sign off on doing the bonds, to underwrite them. Crazy.
Well, we got limbs up here on the side of the road that vehicles are brushing. Now, that's pitiful.
Oh, I know. Hey, my trucks, I don't know how many CB antennas we've replaced in the last couple of years.
I understand.
I mean, it's just I got to the point where I told the boys, I said, don't even put the things on them. Just wave to people. That's all I do. It's sad. It's sad. I know. And I call the DOT guys. I know them real well here in our division. I call them all the time because different people call them me. And I think sometimes they dread hearing from me. But I told them, I said, till it gets better, I'm going to keep calling. So, I
appreciate it.
Just keep your eye. If you pick out places of stuff you see going wrong, let me know. I'll get that word to them. They have been pretty good on instances. If you just say we need to trim the trees, no. If you say we need to trim them on Snow Creek, I can usually get them out there, you know. So you let me know places that are bad, and we'll start with the worst and work our way down. So
Okay, I'll let you know.
Hey, appreciate you calling in, Dale. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
See you, man. Got somebody else?
Hey, is this Jeff?
It is Jeff. Who's this?
Hey, Jeff, this is Alan. I wanted to give you a call up. I appreciate you having a guy on there about 3 weeks ago from the health organization.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of spilled the beans about why the United States didn't know about this virus ahead of this because of the cuts and things.
Yeah.
And from what he said, it kind of showed me that they just kind of held back on the information in a spiteful way because of the cuts to the health organization. And kind of opened my eyes to some things, and I just wanted to call you up and tell you I appreciated you having that guy on, and the reason behind all this, that the United States didn't have the information they need on this virus. And because of money and because of cuts in finances to that organization, it just seemed like to me that it was a thing that they held back just to get even with somebody.
All right, I'm trying to remember which guest this was that I'd have had on about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm not sure. It might have been one of the other shows. I don't know if I had that guy on or not. I do know that we have, over the last 20 years, we have gone back and forth with the particular lab over in Wuhan, China, warning them to quit playing with these viruses they've been doing. And it fell on deaf ears. And so finally, I feel like, intentional or unintentional, whatever, it finally come to fruition, and now it's bitten us.
And I just wanted to let you know. I mean, this guy was really down on Mr. Trump in the situation, but then he comes around and talks about the cuts that they had made in the health organization around the world. Mm-hmm. And if we're not getting anything from them, we don't need to be supporting these kind of people, you know.
Well,
we need to have our own stuff in place.
Yeah, the bad thing too, a lot of times with the World Health Organization, things get diluted, because I know they had a real problem. We're just one vote, even though we supply a lot of money to the UN, to the World Health Organization, these whole things. We're just one vote, and they had a director in there that seemed to want to turn a blind eye to, just like I said, what China was doing, messing with these viruses.
Exactly right.
And that, to me, there's no need to be trying to mutate, mess with viruses. A lot of people say, oh, well, that's how you find cures and this, that, and the other. Very rarely from a virus do you find a cure. All you may do is figure out how to maybe prevent something that happens, but the stuff they were doing was about impossible for it to happen in nature. It almost had to be man-made, created for the things they were doing.
Right.
So,
exactly right.
we basically pulled back a lot of funding here because of this from the World Health Organization until they could reorganize and get their priorities straight.
Right.
So,
well, I just wanted to let you know I appreciate that, because it opened my eyes to a whole bunch of stuff that's going on the world stage that I don't think that the majority of the American people realize.
Yeah. And
when this guy was talking about some of the things that they had done because of the funding being cut, and this was something that they held back this information just because of cuts in their funds, and this is too serious to let money be an issue on this. Mm-hmm. And I just appreciate you, Jeff, having this guy on. And it's been about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and just opened my eyes to a lot of things. And I appreciate your time, and appreciate what you're doing, and hope you have a dandy day.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Bye now.
All right. Got somebody else? Hey, this is Representative Jeff McNeely. Who we got?
Yes, this is Dale Wilson. I was just calling you there. Along over here where I can talk at you there. I just had a question. You keep seeing all this Cunningham on there, and being an old Marine myself, where he really pushes that Bronze Star there, but
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not mistaken, he was a JAG officer.
He was. He was, and actually went from a JAG officer to being on the judicial side. He was actually a Army judge, so he was on the actual judge, which to me is even a higher standard you set when you take that position than being even in the JAG service itself.
Well, I just know that as a lawyer, you're not near combat or anything, but people don't realize there's two different Bronze Stars, and the V device is for valor, and the one showed on that picture, it's just the Bronze Star for meritorious.
That's right.
It kind of gets to me when he's talking about how him and his guys felt and all. He's not out there. So I just didn't think a whole lot about that, and some of the other vets I know there was talking about the same thing. So.
Well, and we appreciate the JAG officers that do go and serve. We do appreciate, but like I said,
I appreciate everybody, but that's kind of a misconclusion there whenever they're.
I don't think he had to wear that helmet as much as he did in the picture, if that's what you're asking. So.
Well, I mean, that's like I say, that's not a V device Bronze Star, so I just didn't know they push it like the average people wouldn't know, but. Anyway, you're doing a great job, and I got to come by and get a whole list there of the ones because everybody I've heard you interview there, and Vicky too, seems like they're good people. So thank you for what you're doing.
There is good people out there wanting to serve. There is good people out there wanting to serve, and that's a good thing.
I appreciate anybody. You sign that dotted line, they can send you anywhere. I've got no problem with that whatsoever. Whether they win or didn't win, they're still.
Put their hat in the ring.
There, and I admire all of them there, but I was just, I think it's kind of like people wearing. Well, anyway, that's about all I got, Jeff. But thank you very much.
Hey, I appreciate you calling. Thank you, sir. Hey, this is Representative Jeff McNeely. Who we got?
Hey, this is Marcia Frew. I'm calling. I just want to thank you for the work that you do, and I really appreciate it because you get into some areas that it's like citizen journalism,
Well, it kind of is because I dig. I dig.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm kind of into that too, and I'm glad to hear that others are too. But one of the questions I had, and I don't know if it's already been questioned or you answered it or what, but I would really be interested in knowing what our illustrious governor has done with the $57 million that he insisted be submitted to be under his control from the Atlantic Pipeline. And when he bugged them so much about the pipeline and delayed, and then they finally said, forget it, we're not going to do it.
That was a sad day. That was a sad day, too.
Yes, it was. Disgusting. And so my question is, what should he do with that $57 million? If he put that maybe into the DOT, they wouldn't be so bad off. And we could have the roads done that are supposed to be designated to be finished.
The good news was... I hate to interrupt you real quick, but the good news was the legislature was actually able to, I'll say, intercept that money. Cooper had kind of earmarked it for his own little goodies, and we kind of caught wind of what was going on. Really, it was a quid pro quo thing. He was holding up their environmental permits, just making them crawl, and they come across with this money. And all of a sudden, their permits started getting heard and getting approved. Imagine
that.
Yeah, but that's not. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Yeah. Anyway, so the legislature found out about what was going on, and we grabbed the money, and that's one of the reasons. After that happened, Cooper kind of went sour on that whole deal and could care less. His little kitty got shut down, so he didn't really care, and basically just put up enough, I don't want to say roadblocks, but it might as well be that finally Dominion Energy and Duke and it, they just said to heck with it. And what people don't understand, the day they made that decision, that cost Eastern North Carolina tens to hundreds of billions of dollars of economic infrastructure in the future. It put them at such a disadvantage for power, for manufacturing. I don't even know how to explain.
I know.
And the press just kind of said, "What the heck," and let it be. So it's sad. It's sad. So hey, I appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, see you. Looking for my guest here. Hey, this is Representative Jeff McNeely. Who we got? Hello. Who we got here? Hey, this is Representative Jeff McNeely. Who we got?
Yeah, this is a sick and tired patriot.
Hey, can't talk long. I'm trying to get.
Guess.
Can't talk too long
I know
today.
you're waiting for your guest call. Yeah, I just all these property taxes we paying in. What the hell we got to sell bills for? Or I'm
bonds?
sorry, but the bonds for.
Well, now the property tax goes to the county.
All these taxes we're paying in.
Yeah.
This is a republic, I guess, for you.
Here's kind of the deal. Real quickly, is that my guest maybe there? I'll tell you what. I'll get back to that. I'll get back to that. Let me catch this one. All right, I'll get back to you. Hey, see you. This is Representative Jeff McNeely. Who we got?
Hey, this is Jim O'Neill.
Hey, Jim. Been looking for you this morning. I took some calls. Sorry I couldn't get you on quicker here. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, buddy, you're fine. Man, I'm just trying to run all over the state and like a one-legged man in a rear-end kicking contest. That's how I feel right now.
I hear you. All right, folks, for all y'all that may not know Jim, Jim O'Neill is actually running for our North Carolina Attorney General. And it's very, I guess, coincidental, maybe not so much. They always saying nothing really happens by luck in politics. It's all planned. But I'm glad I got you today because been a whole lot going on here lately with that Attorney General's office. And I'm sure you can enlighten us. But I'm going to ask you, a little few questions now. You've been the DA district attorney over in Forsyth. How long you been doing that now, Jim?
Well, I'm proud to say that I'm pushing up close to 25 years now, prosecuting cases here in Forsyth County and keeping my community safe.
All right.
Sir. And Jeff, you understand this. I hope your listeners understand this as well. That the Attorney General is considered the top prosecutor and top law enforcement officer in the state.
That's right.
And as such, of course, I've prosecuted everything from barking dogs all the way up to capital murder cases. And unfortunately, our current Attorney General has never prosecuted a case like that in his entire life.
Yep.
And somehow has been elevated to the position of Attorney General.
Well, unfortunately, it shows as politics gets involved instead of judicial experience. If we had more judicial experience and less politics, I think we'd have a whole lot different things happen in Attorney General. But now, just a few things I wanted to bring up about you. So I know you. So you've been over there almost 25 years in Forsyth. You've been the head DA for about 11 years, correct?
Yes, sir. That's right about right. Yes,
yeah. It's about 11. And I also know, talking to Sarah Kirkman, and you're the vice president of the District Attorneys, I guess, Association, you would call it, which that's probably a fairly large group and a great honor. So I'm sure, well, it's at least 100 of you anyway.
Yes.
And then one thing I also heard was somebody was telling me that you're actually a lacrosse coach over there in Forsyth.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Jeff, funny story for your listeners. In some parts of my county, although I'm in the paper here or on the TV, it feels like on a weekly basis. Most folks in this area, or a lot of folks in this area at least, seem to know me more as a lacrosse coach. And when I went to register my daughter for kindergarten, the lady behind the desk kept staring at me, and she said, "I know you from somewhere." And I figured, oh man, could be somebody unhappy with the way a case turned out, or who knows what. She said, "You're that lacrosse coach over at Reynolds High School." I said, "Yes, ma'am. That's who I am. I'm the lacrosse coach at Reynolds High School."
Well, you got to start somewhere getting recognition. So it sounds like you're getting it. That's good. That's good. That's good.
Sir.
Well, really want to get into, I'll usually try to never bring up somebody's opponent, but today is a special day, Jim, because your opponent, in my opinion, has been a busy man here lately, but I don't think it's been in a good way. And I know there's some things going on between you and him. I think your campaign, y'all have actually filed a complaint at the Board of Elections on him, haven't you?
Yes, sir. We sure have. We filed a state board of elections complaint against him. He's running an ad right now where he has somebody come up on the TV and says that Jim O'Neill left 1,500 rape kits sitting on a shelf, and of course, nothing could be further from the truth. Anybody, you got one of the best DAs in the state. You're over by you, Jeff. Sarah Kirkman's one of the best DAs around.
She's good,
and she signed a letter, in fact, indicating and supporting the information for the public that DAs, prosecutors, we don't have any evidence on any shelves.
Mm-hmm.
We don't come into the chain of custody. So he misled the people and the voters in the state by suggesting that a prosecutor has evidence sitting up on a shelf. We don't have any of that. That's all in the hands of law enforcement. And the other part that he didn't want to tell people was, if when you have a case of a sexual assault, and the defense or the suspect says, it was consensual, well, what happens is his lab, the Attorney General's lab, won't test the kit. So there's nothing for law enforcement to do except leave it where it is. So it's his own lab that rejects the kit, and then he turns around and he tries to put me, the district attorney, as the person who's leaving stuff on a shelf. Nothing. It's just it's completely false. It's completely misleading. But unfortunately, that's the direction he has chosen to take in terms of explaining to voters the difference between the two of them. Just a complete misleading and false ad.
Well, now that we're on the part about where he's misleading people, I want to talk a little bit about this Board of Election and the State Board of Election and the case that come up. Can you speak about cases like that or not?
Yeah, well,
okay.
I can tell you that, of course, I wasn't there as part of the negotiation, but I can tell you that the federal judge here in the Middle District of North Carolina came out with a ruling. Judge Osteen, well revered and well respected across the state and across the country, came out and said that the memorandum that the Attorney General put out it violates Judge Osteen's ruling, and it takes away the witness needing to be available to correct an improper ballot.
Right.
And I thought it was a pretty strong rebuke from a federal judge. And if you're the Attorney General of North Carolina and a federal judge comes in and says you are acting improper in what you're doing, and you are violating what I said the law was, that to me is an embarrassment for North Carolina.
Well, the big thing too, Jim, from what I understand, first off, have you ever really heard of an attorney general for a state, especially North Carolina, do a settlement like he did with somebody suing us over a board of elections? I've never heard of that on that scale.
I'm unaware of that happening. In fact, anywhere in the country, not just in North Carolina. I'm unaware of that happening anywhere. But Jeff, this all comes back to, I was blessed enough to be asked by the Trump campaign when he visited Winston-Salem recently to come out there and speak to the crowd and get them fired up. And when I came out there, one of the things I wanted to explain to the folks, and I want to explain to your listeners, is this: the voters in North Carolina voted the majority rules, and they said we want voter ID.
Yep.
In North Carolina. That's what we want. We want voter ID. Well, everyone expected in the legal community that would run into some legal hurdles and challenges, and that's to be expected. But when he encountered his first adverse ruling, instead of appealing it to a higher court, he just let it lie.
Oh, I know.
He just let it lie and fell on a sword, of course, and that was contrary to what North Carolinians wanted. It's contrary to what we voted for. Now, you may not like it as the Attorney General, but you have an obligation.
That's right.
You have a duty to follow through on the will of the people. But what he has turned that office into, Jeff, is not the will of the people, but it's the will of Stein. And he's trying to turn us into his version of California, or San Francisco. That's what he wants North Carolina to become.
Yep.
He wants us to be like
Virginia.
San Francisco. well, I mean, but Virginia is definitely headed in the wrong direction.
Yep.
But California's already there.
That's right. You're right.
They're already upside down.
Yep.
So why would you, when you look at us across the country, why would you want to make us like California? Why? I mean, it's crazy. And the other thing, Jeff, I want your listeners to know, it's not only did he not follow through on the voter ID, but he has sued this White House and he has sued President Trump more than a dozen times.
Yep.
And most of it is just frivolous lawsuits. Again, here's a perfect example with him in California. He wants to join California, the California AG, in suing the president over car emissions in California. Now, how is that a good use of taxpayer dollars and resources in North Carolina? Could you tell me that?
What?
How is that possible?
Well, you know,
and then I'm going to give you another one. I want to give you one more, Jeff.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I want to give you another classic example. When President Trump wanted to build a wall down on our southern border, okay? Most people think about, when they hear about that wall being built on the southern border, they think to themselves, well, that's going to reduce illegal immigration. And sure, it would. But here's the other thing. 85% of the heroin that's shipped into this country comes by way of our southern border.
That's right.
So how can you tell me you care about the heroin epidemic that's going on in our country, and yet you're not willing to support the wall being built when you know that 85% is coming through the southern border?
You know,
I mean, it's crazy.
I know. And I know that's important to you because y'all have done a opioid initiative over in Forsyth that I think Iredell and quite a few other counties in the state have really looked at, and we've tried to kind of copy, if I'm not mistaken, and that was kind of initiated by you.
Yep. We looked at the problem and we said, we got to figure out a way to help people, keep them alive, number one. But number two, if we can also get them on the straight and narrow and help them with their addiction problem, help them find a job and proper housing and all those things, guess what's going to happen, Jeff? Our crime rate is going to go down.
Better outcomes.
And so
That's right.
once we put this program together, the people that have graduated from my program, Jeff, every single one of them is testing clean. Every single one of them has a job, and every single one of them has had no contact with law enforcement.
All right.
Nothing.
Well, that's a miracle.
They're on the straight and narrow. And you know what happened as a result of that, Jeff? Winston-Salem was recently rated just this year as the safest city in all of North Carolina.
That's impressive because there was a time 20 years ago that I always thought Winston was a little more seedier than Charlotte, but that's impressive.
Oh yeah. We have the same problems that every major city has. There's no question about it. But in terms of keeping people safe, that's what I know how to do. And when I look across the aisle here at our current Attorney General, and he's not supporting law enforcement. Now keep this in mind. He's the top law enforcement officer in the state, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yet the PBA, the Police Benevolent Association, the largest organization across the state of North Carolina representing police officers, you know who they endorsed in this race? Jim O'Neill. The State Highway Patrol?
That's
you
what I
know
was getting
the
ready
State
to say.
Highway Patrol endorsed this?
Yep.
They endorsed Jim O'Neill.
There
you know who the Fraternal Order of Police in this state, which has a lot of retired folks in it as well? You know who they endorsed? Jim O'Neill.
Yep.
The three major law enforcement agencies in North Carolina have all endorsed Jim O'Neill. They have turned their back on the Attorney General because he has turned his back on them when it comes to defunding and reimagining the police. He will not come out and say that defunding the police is a bad idea. He won't do it.
I know.
Can't do it.
Neither will Roy Cooper. Yeah, neither one of them. Yep.
Josh Stein is going to lose his base if he comes out and says that. And he doesn't want to lose the far left.
That's sad.
People need to understand the top law enforcement officer in the state needs to have the support of the PBA, Fraternal Order of Police, and the Highway Patrol, and he has none of them.
And I know with the rioting that they've had down in Raleigh, I mean, you've heard nothing out of Cooper. You've heard nothing out of Stein. I mean, it's just been dead silence. They just continue to allow the rioting and the looting and the burning. And I'm just sitting there going, surely somebody understands that this is not the way society functions, and you speak out against it. But yet it's just deafening. The silence is deafening.
Jeff, you of course have earned a reputation down there in Raleigh of being an excellent representative for the people that in your part of the state.
Well, thank you.
You have earned that, okay? And as the Attorney General, when you see this rioting and looting going on, and you are not out there in front demanding day after day that this stop, we all believe that people have the right to peaceful protest. We all believe that.
Yeah.
But as the Attorney General, you need to be out in front of this as the top law enforcement officer of the state every single day, holding a press conference saying, this is unacceptable behavior. We are not going to allow this in our city of Raleigh, in our capital in North Carolina. Absolutely not going to accept it. And everybody who's going to commit a crime out here, it needs to be prosecuted to the fullest extent. But this Attorney General, of course, has said absolutely nothing about this.
And it's so sad. Downtown Raleigh looks like a war zone. I went to school at State, and been to Raleigh who knows how many times in my life, and you go down there and it's just boarded up, and everything's spray painted, graffitied, trashed, burnt. It's pitiful. It's shameful. It is shameful.
And I'll tell you the other thing that people in this state and this country need to wake up to, Jeff, is the fact that because of the lack of leadership from people like our current Attorney General, the lack of leadership from him when it comes to law enforcement, the lack of support for our law enforcement, the number of people that are going into the profession of law enforcement is at an all-time low.
Oh, yeah.
An all-time low. And if our friends across the aisle, if the friends across the aisle become in charge of everything, state and federal, our law enforcement is going to be in for a hurting, which also means the public, by extension, will also be in for a hurting. People need to choose. Do they want to feel safe? Do they want to be safe? Or do they want to continue to let the rioting and the looting and the arson go on and burning and tearing down our cities and our institutions? If that's what they want, then they should support our folks across the aisle.
Yep.
But I, of course, have spent 25 years working in law enforcement, and I can tell you what, people don't want to see law enforcement go away. People don't want to see it. They want it here, but this is another false narrative that our friends from across the aisle want to perpetuate.
Well, Jim, one thing I thought, and this is I don't want to say the word comical, it's just ironic, I guess. I know quite a few ladies from our Department of Social Services here in Iredell County, and they have to get a sheriff's deputy to go with them on some of their visits. And the big thing is they're saying, we're going to defund the police and we're going to hire more social workers. Those people don't want to go out into the situations you're talking about. They're unarmed. I mean, so it's crazy. They don't even understand what goes on a daily basis.
That's exactly right. This false narrative comes from a bunch of people that don't have to encounter evil and badness. It's really just laughable. And as the DA here in Winston-Salem and Forsyth County, I'm on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which means my phone stays hopping on a weekend. And when you have, drive-by shootings and things like this, and we've got Joe Biden and some of our friends from across the aisle coming out and saying, hey, you know what they really need? We'll send a social worker out there. Yeah, that'll do the job.
Yeah.
And in fact, I got a suggestion. Here's the suggestion, Jeff. Okay, why don't we just have Joe give up all of his Secret Service detail, and we'll have social workers follow him around.
That's right.
How does that sound?
Yeah, I think that'd be interesting.
You think you'll feel good?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have social workers follow him around, and when people try to come and kookaballs try to come and assault him and hurt him, well, these other folks will just handle the business there. They'll explain it to him. They can't do this. And
Exactly.
I'm sure they'll follow their instructions.
Exactly. Yeah, that would be interesting. I always find it kind of ironic again that the mayor of Chicago had 24/7 security all around her house because of the violence that's going on in her city.
Yeah.
And she said she needed it. And I'm saying, well, what about everybody else? Everybody else needs that same security too, lady. So it's
exactly
just crazy.
Right.
It's just
exactly
crazy.
Right.
But now, here's the problem I've got with your competition right now, Mr. Josh Stein's problem. He actually went and showed the current North Carolina Board of Elections one settlement that he had agreed to, and they voted on that unanimously, but then submitted another settlement to the actual director of the Board of Elections with a whole different settlement. And we have this down. And I've talked to my leader in the House, in the Senate, and I feel like we're going to move forward with some kind of a censure, maybe even possibly an impeachment. I hope you take care of it and it won't matter. Maybe that's the answer. But
that is the answer.
You know, like you say, this is supposed to be the top law enforcement in the state of North Carolina. The Attorney General is, and if he can't be trusted in a lawsuit for the state and misleads a state board, because we had the two Republican nominees, or two Republican nominees that we put on there, they resigned over this because they said that's not the settlement that we voted and signed off on. It's what they've sent out. And they're saying, oh, yeah, it is. And they said, no, we got copies of the one settlement, and then we got memos of what they actually said they settled on and what they're going to do. Now, I don't know about you, but being the top law enforcement person in our state, credibility is a really important thing to me, and honesty. And I feel like we've got none of that there.
And Jeff, you just laid it out perfectly. And I'm gonna add one more thing. Okay, if we all recall, Postmaster General DeJoy, who came out of Greensboro, North Carolina.
Yep.
Right. He gives sworn testimony between the Senate and the House, United States. Right. And he says, okay, you know what? With everybody being upset about changes to the election process, although it's all designed to just stop the bleeding, the financial bleeding that's going on in D.C., I'll tell you what I'll do. I will stop any of these changes to the election process. I will freeze them right now until after the election is over, so people won't think that this is a partisan plan. Okay? So he gives sworn
keep the Postal Service like it's been, which is not very efficient.
Right. Right, but you know what? To stop all the whining and the crying on the left, he said we'll just freeze it till after the election's over.
Yep.
Okay, sworn testimony in the Senate and the House. Okay, what does our Attorney General do the next day? He files suit against the Postmaster General.
Yeah,
Postmaster General, and of course we all just sat there shaking our heads because it's nothing more than an attempt by him to gain free publicity.
Oh yeah,
by filing a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Frivolous, meaningless lawsuit. And I'm going to tell you what, Jeff, one of the reporters, that's right, one of the mainstream reporters had the nerve to ask him, well, if he just gave sworn testimony in front of the Senate and the House, why the need to continue with a lawsuit?
Yeah.
And the Attorney General's response was, well, I want something in writing. Well, guess what? Does anybody in America know a lawsuit that can be handled in 45 days? Of course not.
No.
There's not going to be an answer on that. There's not going to be any response on that whatsoever.
This grandstanding.
This is just, that's all it is, and it's wasting taxpayer resources and it's wasting taxpayer dollars.
Well, I when Josh was in the Senate, that never bothered him there. So why should it bother him when he's Attorney General? His colors haven't changed. His colors haven't changed.
No, not at all.
I look at this, and I've told my leadership. I said, we made a mistake back whenever we passed same-sex marriage amendment to our Constitution, and our Attorney General then would not represent the state of North Carolina, and we had to hire outside representation. And you know who that Attorney General is. Tell him, Jim. Who was that?
Oh, yes.
Roy Cooper. Roy
Yes,
Cooper. And right then and there, we should have impeached him for derelict of duty for not doing what he took an oath to do and defend the citizens of North Carolina. Now we have another Attorney General following in the same footstep path that will not that has basically lied to a state board and tried to pull a swapperoo on one settlement versus another. And then it's just this whole thing is so rotten. It's not even funny. The two Republicans stepped down in resignation in protest, and now Roy Cooper won't appoint our new representatives on there. The two, even though they probably still couldn't win, he won't even appoint them. He's letting max time, but they're still making rulings and sending them out to our different 100 boards of elections. If this is crazy.
Jeff, so much of what our current Attorney General has done to the state is now being put on full display. So much of it, but we have to remember, Jeff, that where he learned this from.
Yep.
Where did he learn this? he learned it from when he was chief of staff for John Edwards.
That's right.
That's where he learned it from. People forget that. He was John Edwards' right-hand man.
Yeah. It looks like Cal Cunningham learned some stuff from John Edwards too, but we won't talk about that. But this whole thing with the Board of Elections and taking out basically the witness, and also they sent in that same memorandum they said if you don't follow these rules you will be fired. They told the Board of Elections people that just bluntly. I'm talking pure bluntly. You will be fired if you don't do what we say. And it's a totally improper settlement. That judge has that federal judge is bringing them back in front of them that you talked about. And they're going to have a talk about what he really said, not what they thought he said. And so that's been put on hold for right now. But, they actually tried to extend the election date basically on these ballots till November the 12th. And I guess it's the old saying, I always say when I played Captain's Choice, the last group in always says, somebody says, what did you have? And they say, well, what do we need? What's it going to take to win? What's in so far? Nah, that's exactly what we had. One more than that. So, we were one more under. So this whole thing, right. I love to hear the Democrats scream and holler about how the Republicans are voter suppression. So voter suppression. I would be offended if I was a minority and they told me because I don't even know the word I want to use, but that I could not be able to get identification. I don't know of anybody in this world of any age to vote that can't get some kind of form of identification, some way, somehow. I really don't, because you have to have it for so much. So, Jim, we're getting down to the last part of the show here. I do appreciate you calling in. Finish us off a little bit with something you'd like to say to the voters of Iredell County and Mecklenburg and all. What do you want to end up with? Tell us.
Well, I'm going to tell you two things real quick. Again, I want to thank you, Jeff, for your service down there that you provide to the people in your community. And people don't understand how taxing that job is on your personal life, your family life, your business life. It's taxing.
It's work.
So thank you for your service down there.
Thank you.
And it's important. It's important. And you've got you're blessed in Iredell County. You've got Darren, your sheriff down there.
Yep.
You've got Sarah, your VA. What a combination you have. You guys are very, very fortunate, and I hope that you realize that. So if our friend Darren Campbell is listening out there, Darren, thank you for what you're doing, and Sarah Kirkman, thank you for what you're doing out there. We got to understand as voters coming into this election that the frivolous lawsuits against President Trump have to stop.
Right.
And the people that file the frivolous lawsuits are the attorney generals across the country. In North Carolina, in the recent public polling by Cardinal, it had me up by 5 points. But I need people to get fired up, and I need them to care about this race. If they care about the president and they care about this White House, then they should care about the Attorney General of North Carolina, because he's the person that can put an end to frivolous lawsuits, and he's the person that can carry out the will of North Carolinians.
Jim,
that's what we should all care about.
Let me say a quick prayer for you in North Carolina and all of us. Dear Heavenly Father, dear Lord, I pray for this man. I pray for Jim O'Neill. Dear Lord, I pray you watch over him and his family. Be with all of us, dear Lord, that we're elected. Lead and guide us. Good luck.
News Talk for Huntersville. This is 105.9 FM, 100.7 FM, and 1400 AM. WSIC Statesville.
So, I gotta leave here in a couple hours.
What do you mean you gotta leave?
Davey's got a car I want to look at, and thinking about getting your little sister a new car.
You're not taking your daughter with you, are you?
Yeah.